Testing 1 2 1 2. Sharp. Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. Sure. Thank you very much, members of the media, people of South Africa. We just wanted to alert all of you that we'll be starting at 12:10 promptly. So at 12:10, the press conference of the economic freedom fighters will start. Let us all be patient and await the leadership of the EFF to address us all at 12:10. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to members of the media, and the people of South Africa, we welcome you to this EFF press conference, which will be addressed by the President and Commander-in-Chief of the EFF. Before we start, we'd like to introduce the leadership that is here with us. We have the Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Commissar Mpile Mautwe. We have the National Chairperson of the EFF, Commissar Veronica Mente, here with us today. We also have the Deputy Secretary General, Commissar Poppy Mailula, here with us at this press conference. Secretary General of the EFF, Commissar Marshall Dlamini. The Deputy President of the EFF is here with us on my immediate left, Commissar Floyd Shivambu, and of course the President and Commander-in-Chief, Julius Malema. So before we start, we'll be doing things a bit differently today, as we know about what has been happening in South Africa. So we will be playing the video of the burglary on Phala Farm, which is owned by Cyril Ramaphosa, before we hand over to the President and Commander-in-Chief. So let's have that video played now. Thank you very much. Over to you, President.
Thank you very much. The economic freedom fighters take this opportunity to send its deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Commissar Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, who lost his grandmother, Gogo Emily Nomgidi Ndlozi, on the 3rd of June 2022. Gogo Ndlozi was a pillar of strength to a family, a matriarch who lived a life characterized by a deep sense of spirituality, love, and sincerity. At her advanced age, she decided to join the EFF, symbolizing her love for the future, even though she had lived past her prime years. She will be dearly missed by all of us, and may her soul rest in perfect and eternal peace. The EFF also sends its condolences to the family and loved ones of our late Umkhanyakude District Chairperson, Fighter Mxolisi Buthelezi, who was shot dead while on his way to attend organizational duties on the 2nd of June 2022. We are pained by the loss of a dedicated leader to the gun violence that is so prevalent in KwaZulu-Natal. As such, the EFF calls for an end to the assassination which have characterized the political environment in KZN, and may there be justice for our fallen soldier in the revolution. May he rest in peace. Lastly, we further send our condolences to the loved ones and family of Mr. Theo Mposi, who was a prominent businessman based in the province of Limpopo. Mposi was a young entrepreneur who understood that for multi-party democracy to succeed, he needed to reach out to different political formations, and for that we are grateful. Mr. Mposi had a bright future, and his untimely passing has dealt a huge blow not only to his family, but the entire province of Limpopo. We weep with his family and pray that his soul will rest in peace. The economic freedom fighters is not shocked by the revelation that there was a burglary and theft at Cyril Ramaphosa Palapala farm and that 60 million was stolen. Cyril Ramaphosa owns game farm parties that are used for illicit financial flows, particularly money laundering. It is not surprising that 60 million in dollar bills were stolen from Cyril Ramaphosa's property and was not reported to the South African Police Services because criminals do not report crimes when their proceeds of crime are stolen. As things stand, the President of South Africa is accused of engaging in terrorist and vigilante method of interrogation and subsequently defeating the ends of justice by bribing those who were victim to his criminal action. No one has a right to abduct, detain, and interrogate those who are alleged to have committed crimes against them. And Ramaphosa did this without the supervision of any competent law enforcement agency, leaving us to believe that these individuals were not only bribed, but they were also tortured. A bribe upon the release of those who were abducted and detained only makes logical sense in the context of brutal torture and inhuman treatment. It is likely that Ramaphosa did not want this to be revealed to the public. Ramaphosa engaged in abduction, kidnapping, and bribery to cover up the fact that he kept large sums of illicit money on his farm and could not turn to law enforcement to assist him when this money was stolen. The media statement released by the presidency and subsequent radio interviews by Cyril Ramaphosa spokesperson to downplay a serious crime must be rejected with the contempt it deserves. We know that Cyril Ramaphosa is at the forefront of corruption, including money laundering, racketeering, and fraud hidden in game farm activities. Ramaphosa and his handlers involved in the game farming industry are illegally transacting in foreign currency and in cash. Moreover, there is no record of these transactions and the laws regarding limits of foreign currency are disregarded. We are even more concerned with the collaboration between Ramaphosa and the president of Namibia, which saw Ramaphosa unleash his personal thugs to track down suspects in Namibia after the robbery on his farm with the aid of the Namibian president. The president of Namibia conspired with Ramaphosa to abduct individuals from his country and aided him in concealing his crime of money laundering. This makes Ramaphosa's actions not only of domestic concern, but of international consequences. The EFF does not have confidence that the Financial Intelligence Center, the Directorate of Priority Crime, SARS, and the South African Reserve Bank will investigate the prima facie evidence presented by former head of State Security Agency, Mr. Arthur Fraser. Recent experience has proven that these institutions, including the National Treasury, as well as some quarters of the judiciary, are now deeply embedded in the ANC's toxic factional politics. The EFF has, however, submitted to Parliament questions to Ramaphosa in terms of National Assembly Rule 145 to hold him accountable for the unreported Palapala farm burglary and the stolen 60 million. The EFF submitted the following questions. How much money was stored at the farm and in what currency? What is the entire proceed of the game auction, and or was there additional money that came from elsewhere? Who bought the game, where and when? Did Ramaphosa disclose to Parliament and the executive the amount of money stored at the farm? Did he alert the revenue collector of such an amount of money? Why did he not report a case of theft at the police station and chose to report to a bodyguard who's not permitted to open dockets and conduct investigation? Will he open a case with the police in a police station about the burglary and theft at the farm? Provide proof beyond a reasonable doubt that the money stored at the farm was game proceeds. Did he ever receive a huge amount of money from donors during his tenure as deputy president and president of the country? Does he have other areas other than Palapala farm where he has stored huge amounts of money? If so, what are the details by venue and stored amounts? Did he call the president of Namibia to arrange for illegal extradition of the people who took money from the farm? All these questions must be responded to honestly, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that all questions are responded to truthfully and honestly. Like we are going to do, we also call on all people involved to come to the fore with additional information and evidence that will demonstrate to the people of South Africa, Africa, and the world that South Africa's president is not the person whom he claims to be. His character and way of life is defined by a double agenda and creation of parallel personalities, a fake life, and bribes to silence those who are about to expose him, as well as unquestionable loyalty to his white handlers. We want to warn Ramaphosa to answer the parliamentary questions truthfully and on time, accordingly to the National Assembly Rule 145, subsection 5A. A question for written reply must be replied to within 10 working days. The EFF will not tolerate any attempt by a parliament or anyone to protect Ramaphosa from accountability. Moreover, the EFF want to caution the public against the misguided, factional, and foolish so-called analysts who want to question the credibility of Arthur Fraser, who reported this crime. It is the highest level of established establishment journalism to question the motive of someone who reports a crime instead of investigating the merits of the crime itself, simply because it is a political favorite who has been implicated. Those who question credibility of Arthur Fraser must have themselves checked, because it was the same Cyril Ramaphosa who appointed Arthur Fraser as the National Commissioner of the Correctional Services. Fraser was not prematurely removed. He did not resign under a cloud of scandal, and he was never implicated in any wrongdoing, as he finished his term peacefully and then left. Any attempt to now try and question his integrity is opportunistic and baseless and must be rejected by all sane people. A crime has been committed and it must be investigated, and we must never allow a smear campaign to be ran against a whistleblower. The EFF is calling out all the so-called elders and leaders of the church who pretend that they are the moral compass of South Africa, yet are quiet when Sir Ramaphosa is implicated in abduction, kidnapping, torture, money laundering, and bribery. The likes of Archbishop Taoma Khoba, Frank Chikani, Bishop Mpumlwana are silent because their puppet has committed crimes which violate domestic and international laws. Where are these elders who have been so loud in the past against corruption? For instance, they used to say, volume.
Their attitudes are debilitating, life-threatening. How banal is our Lord, Mr. President? What delays? They are like the scribe. Sit down when this kind of thing happens. It has always been happening. We want to build a culture that is going to make South Africa identified as the capital of the world's capital for corruption. We say no to that. We will say that come this coming month of September, something to be said for a view that's shared by the Puritan scientist that is a Mexican guy, his name is Shredder, who says that Malusi is accountable to the end. When Malusi
These hypocrites of the church are quiet now because their favorite is involved. There is also a deafening silence from all the captured NGOs who have been parading themselves as an anti-corruption and demanding accountability only from a faction they do not support in the ruling party. Now Ramaphosa is charged with kidnapping, money laundering, and bribery, but there is a complete silence from the lights of freedom under law, CASAC, and OUTA. All of these institutions always turn a blind eye when their puppet Ramaphosa is involved in corruption. The EFF has also observed how the media has downplayed the criminal acts of Cyril Ramaphosa and made numerous attempts to divert the attention of the nation from his criminal activities. There has been no thorough investigative work to test the president of the country and his claims that the money stolen from him were proceeds of an auction. The EFF has it on good authority that the auctioneering company that handles auction on Ramaphosa's farm is Flay Central. This company has been operating for more than 8 years and does not operate in cash in hand, but uses electronic methods to divide the monies owed to them for conducting service and the money due to the individual who has auctioned their goods or property. The media is unable to contact this company and verify the claims of Ramaphosa, who wants us to believe that this company counted cash with him in his bedroom like gamblers who play dice. The media is allowed for itself and the collective intelligence of the nation to be undermined by petty lies because Ramaphosa must always be portrayed like a saint. It is the media which is deliberately not doing its work, which allow Ramaphosa to get away with these crimes. The EFF also has it on good authority through informants within the police that there is a pressure on the police in Wombat to backdate dockets and affidavits in order to corroborate the lies Ramaphosa is told about his bodyguard opening a case. This means that Ramaphosa has already begun meddling with this matter, on top of the fact that as a state president, he occupies a position which will make police reluctant to investigate this matter because it risks their employment. Ramaphosa has had a duty to disclose to the nation that he had been robbed as a man who should uphold the Constitution and be transparent with the people of this country. In the same way, he is duty-bound to tell the nation about his well-being and health. Ramaphosa ought to have told the nation that he was a victim of crime. He did not do this because he was concealing his own criminality, and he will continue to do so in order to avoid accountability. The president and his confused communication team are unable to take the nation into confidence and undermine us all with lies and concocted stories because they want to justify Ramaphosa's thuggish behavior. At no point do any of the justification for not reporting this case and not telling the nation makes sense. The story that he asked his bodyguard to open a case for him cannot stand because no one opened a case on behalf of another person in South Africa. The attempts to suggest that the president was in Addis Ababa during the time of this crime is an attempt by him to claim ignorance of what happened on his farm and what was done by his own bodyguard. It is a manipulation of the truth because there is no bodyguard that can act outside of an instruction of their principal. It therefore stands that Ramaphosa instructed his bodyguard to abduct, kidnap, torture, and bribe the individuals who stole illegal money at the Palapala farm. The EFF rejects This culture of principals scapegoating their crimes on their juniors when these individuals operate on instructions from them. Claiming ignorance will not save Ramaphosa, just as the Speaker of Parliament was charged for animal cruelty on her farm, even though she was not there. She was charged with violating animal rights and pursued in court. The President of South Africa violated human rights by abducting, torturing, and bribing suspects and subjecting them to his own law and not an independent judicial process. The EFF therefore calls for Ramaphosa to step aside with immediate effect, because no policeman will investigate a sitting president who has violated laws in order to avoid justice. Ramaphosa has established himself as an individual who will go to a great length to avoid accountability, and he's continued to stay as a president while this matter is being investigated will jeopardize this case. The EFF has also assembled a legal team which will be led by Advocate Tembeka Ngugaitobi to look into the constitutional provision to have Ramaphosa step aside. The integrity of our nation is at stake, and the EFF will use all of its power to ensure that Ramaphosa pays for the crimes that he has committed in this country. Ramaphosa has portrayed himself as an anti-corruption crusader who has the divine right and entitlement to arrest and imprison everyone who is opposed to him as an individual and to the word capitalist establishment. No one, and absolutely no one in South Africa, should stand by and watch when a head of state undermines the rules of law and does as he wishes because he believes he is protected by the system. We know there are elements in the criminal justice system that are hell-bent on protecting Ramaphosa at all costs and will never be part of such nonsensical arrangement. This country will not go anywhere if we continue to have a certain rules and laws for some people and certain rules and laws for other people. The laws must treat all of us equally, and Ramaphosa must be held accountable. We also demand that all institutions of the state, including the Financial Intelligence Center, the Hawks, the National Prosecutions Authority, the South African Revenue, the South African Reserve Bank, as well as all the entities and institutions, pay attention to this case and reveal for all what has happened under Cyril Ramaphosa. We also call on all employees of the state at whatever level, from whichever profession, to never ever agree to collaborate with Ramaphosa's agents to tell lies and mislead our country. The police, bodyguards, workers in SARS, South African Reserve Bank, FIC, Home Affairs, and all institutions never ever allowed to lay down your lives for a president who has never done anything to improve the lives of the people. You cannot sacrifice yourself in defense of a Ramaphosa who few months ago was retrenching farm workers in his farm when he had millions of dollars hidden under mattresses and couches. We further call on all political parties and members of parliament to be vigilant and act in defense of the rule of law. We have, as lawmakers, been condemned before for doing nothing when a criminal syndicate was turning state institution into personal self-enrichment possessions, and we cannot allow it when Ramaphosa is doing exactly same thing. If Ramaphosa refuses to step aside to allow open and transparent investigation to take place, the EFF will then mobilize many sectors of society to stop recognizing him as a president of the republic and will not permit him to perform any presidential functions. We have the capacity to do so and will do it in defense of the rule of law. We are not factionalists of any political organization who can be bought with illegal money into silence. Enough is enough. Ramaphosa must step aside. I thank you.
Thank you very much, President. We'll now take questions from members of the media. We can start on this side of the room. 1, 2. Any questions on this side? Let's take those 2 questions for now and we'll move forward like that. Thank you very much. Number 1.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Please state your name and media house.
No, we can't, man. Mawande from the Sunday Times. Mr. Malema, you say a lot on this situation, and there's a new event that is also of public discourse at the moment. There's alleged arrest of the Gupta family in Dubai. What is your take on that and the timing thereof? And then secondly, what is your general opinion on current issues of importance to the ordinary man on the street, the rising cost of living, the petrol price, the prices of food, and just everything else that is happening that affects ordinary people on the ground? Thank you.
Number 2.
Samkele Masego from the SABC. Mr. Malema, just a quick one on the issue, particularly pertaining to the Namibian president. On an international aspect, what is the EFF prepared to do in order to have the Namibian president in accounting as well for the alleged collusion with the president of the republic and kidnapping and torturing these particular individuals who broke into the president's farm? And then lastly, we saw those individuals opening a mattress in that particular bedroom. Were those dollars hidden in that particular mattress? Does the video go further to show these 2 individuals who broke into this farm carrying out these large amounts of money? Then lastly, will you be approaching other political parties within parliament to seek a vote of no confidence against the president, particularly knowing that if he did not declare these large amounts to the South African Revenue Services and the Reserve Bank, that is in essence money laundering and racketeering and borders on illicit money flows? Thank you.
Thank you very much, President.
Thank you very much. Spokesperson is becoming haughty. That's okay. So I'm recovering from a flu. That's why I'm trying to keep warm. The Sunday Times does not have a question. And it doesn't have a question for a reason, because they've become a new age. We want to warn Sunday Times that if they continue in the manner they're continuing, we are going to treat them the same way we treated the new age. It has given itself exclusive rights to protect Ramaphosa and Ramaphosa's crimes. And it comes as no shock that the Sunday Times does not have a question. So we know for a fact that the owners of Sunday Times bought SAA for 57 rand. And when a president can sell you a state-owned airline for 57 rand, you will do everything in your power to defend the president. We want to call upon the people of South Africa to read Sunday Times with a conscious mind, because Sunday Times is not innocent. It's factionally and politically driven. And they must continue to do that like the New Age did. They will have themselves to blame and no one else. When a paper takes a deliberate decision to become a faction. The question on the high price of food, the question on Guptas, it's a deliberate question to divert us from this matter we're speaking about. And they call that spinning because they think they're smart. When we came here, we knew Sunday Times is going to ask unrelated questions. Why? Because they have to write something about this press conference. So they ask unrelated question so that they cover a press conference, not for what the press conference is about, but for something else as their attempt of suppressing the story. So we see you and we've observed your reporting style and we've observed your coverage. It's just a matter of time. We'll make a pronouncement on where we stand with the Sunday Times. Before I answer the question of Guptas, which I'm not going to answer, give me a picture of the Guptas in prison first, then I'll answer that question. Because the possibility is that this story might be used as a diversion. I'm told the National Prosecuting Authority says it doesn't know this. And therefore, I'm not going to entertain a diversion and the spin of the state. The state went to write its own letter and send it to a DG in the presidency and took their own bullet and put it there. When South Africa refused to buy that story of intimidation of a DG as a diversion, then Guptas are arrested because Guptas must be a diversion. We are not interested in that. We are interested in the president being held accountable. High food price is exactly because there is no leadership. And the leadership is obsessed with a self-accumulation. They're still to a point where their bank accounts become so full, they can no longer bank, and they start banking under the mattresses. So, and our people are forgotten. The Namibian president, the EFF in Namibia, has taken on the Namibian president. They're holding him accountable. And I'm told very soon they will be opening a criminal case against the president of Namibia for violating Namibian laws when it comes to foreign currency and issues of extradition. The money was taken from the matras. The video doesn't show that the money has been taken from, but when they pick up the matras, that's where the video cut. The people who took the money have confessed that they took the money from the matras and from the couches. I've asked, I don't know if this communication did what I asked them to do. I asked them to give you the video. I asked them to give you the pictures. In the pictures, you are going to find pictures of the culprits and the domestic worker. It's a female who's sleeping on the couch after being tortured, being forced to confess that the money must be released. In the documents that you are going to be given, it's also the owner's papers of the cars that were bought using the proceeds of this crime, the passports and the fake IDs or real IDs of the suspects. It's for you to really investigate if these IDs are authentic or there was some concoction. One of the people who left South Africa, which the president of Namibia helped to capture, left South Africa illegally, helped by some police person in KZN who claimed that he was a bodyguard of a mayor. So the money was kept under mattress. The money was kept inside the sofas. Well, we will approach other political parties, not for a purpose of a motion of no confidence, but for a purpose of rallying our people behind the call for the president to step aside. Let the real thing happen. The president was elected on the ticket of transparency. And therefore, the president was not transparent, and the president did not protect the Constitution. He took an oath to protect the Constitution. President gets robbed on the 9th of February. On the 14th of February, he does the State of the Nation address. He doesn't address the nation that he was robbed. Why did the president leave the opening of the case? He was in Addis Ababa. Maybe he didn't open the case, he was in Addis Ababa. Why did the president not release a statement? Don't tell me it's a private residence. There's nothing private about the president. When he went to operate that sick eye of his, he announced that he's going to operate an eye. That eye belonged to South Africa. Is that eye owned by South Africa? No, he knows every step of the way. He has to take South Africans into confidence. He gets robbed at his place. He doesn't release a statement because they want to conceal this crime. Why? They are proceeds of crime. That's why he cannot announce. The fact that the president has not announced that he was robbed, it must be a prima facie enough to suspect that kunesandla semfene. There's something going on there, and we need to get to the bottom of that. I wish to warn the president. I don't speak to the president. I don't even attend his meetings. The last meetings where he called the opposition party leaders, I didn't go because we are used as a rubber stamp. And I cannot attend meetings where after agreeing on something, the president must still go and ask Johan if he must implement that or not. So I've stopped attending meetings with the president because he's not an honest man. But I want to warn the president because there is more. There is more. There is more where money is counted in the plane. There is more where money in dollars with faces of people is counted in the plane. Let them continue to push Fraser. There's more that these people have been doing in this country, bringing money illegally, engaged in money laundering, in illicit financial flows without being held accountable. There is no bodyguard in South Africa who can enter the house of the president and interrogate people inside the house of the president. Bodyguards end at the door. If you have observed, all of them, when you go and interview VIPs with bodyguards, you'll find bodyguards, all of them seated outside. They never enter the house. They do so per invitation of the principal. There's no way a bodyguard can abduct and then torture people inside the house of the president without the permission of the president. Even torture the domestic worker of a president without the permission of the president. That domestic worker, by the way, was fired. Out of fear, she has been rehired and reassigned a different assignment. To show Ramaphosa is heartless. That time he was retrenching people in his farms, that COVID has dealt him much, he doesn't have money, and therefore he has to downsize and reduce the staff. That's a man who's got millions, if not billions, in his house. Not in a bank, in his house. Still, he releases workers to go and die in hunger when he can afford to look after those workers. It will never be an excuse, because when Thandi Modise said, I was not there, I am in Cape Town, I left someone to look after the pigs. Thandi Modise was charged, yes, and arrested for violating animal rights. She was not there. She said I was not there, the same way Ramaphosa says I was not there. Animal rights, she stood trial. She was pursued. Thandi Modise. Today, this is not animal rights. It's human rights being violated in the house of the president. And we've got analysts who say, no, the president didn't do anything wrong. When a speaker was charged, not being there, and animal rights were violated in her farm. Today, human rights are violated in the farm of the president through the instruction of the president. There's nothing wrong that the president has done. There is this retired constitutional judge, Yakub. That guy, God hasn't punished him enough. That guy, God must punish him enough to the grave. He must just suffer all his life. We don't deserve such a person amongst us. Because you have the whole constitutional court judge so prepared to defend crime in the name of Ramaphosa, because Yakub is perhaps a beneficiary of the banking system of white monopoly capital. Because all of these people, these bishops who are talking here, the men of cloth, they are on the payroll of big companies, of the banks, of the mining sector. That's why conveniently they keep quiet. Makgoba o dile video mar ana letswalo. He must do another video. Cyril ana letswalo. If he's real, a real man of cloth. Otherwise, Methodist Church must start looking at him and his position differently. Why are they so loud when it is a person belonging to a different faction of Ramaphosa? But when it is Ramaphosa and his people, re dielwa di video mo ana letswalo. Re phela re pompiwa ke di video cha makgoba ka roko ana letswalo. Mara he will never say that about Cyril Ramaphosa. And then he calls the people hypocrites when he is a hypocrite himself. Why is Makgoba quiet? A woman has been tortured. A woman has been harassed by men who are well trained, torturing her to confess that she knows about the stealing of the money. But Makgoba and them are quiet. Outer and all of them are quiet. The so-called corruption bastards, all of them have nothing to say. Zweli Mkhize resigned without being charged. Why? The allegations were serious. He resigned without being charged. Why is Cyril Ramaphosa not stepping aside? Because the allegations are serious. Why is Zweli Mkhize being treated differently from Cyril Ramaphosa? Is it because he doesn't belong to Cyril Ramaphosa's faction? Is it because he's a threat that he may stand as a president of the country? This country must start taking itself serious and treat everybody equally. Otherwise, Makgoba, Mpumlwane, Frank Chikane, Kasak, Outer, Freedom Under Law, and the rest of them, they are not worth being listened to. If they want to be listened to, they must treat everybody the same. We do not rule a possibility of a shutdown to demand that the president must step aside. We don't want the president to address the budget on Thursday. The budget must be addressed by the deputy president because the president must be at the police station explaining himself. Parliament is not a place of criminals. Parliament is a place of honorable members, and therefore the president shall be treated the same way we treated the president who disrespected our constitution. Ziyakhala manje.
Thank you very much, President. Let's have another round of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the last round. So if you have any question, you must ask it now or forever hold your peace. Number 1.
Samkelo from the SABC again. Mr. Malema, on the issue of the Guptas, the police abroad have released a statement saying that they are in custody and they are liaising with the authorities in South Africa in order to extradite them to the country to face their crimes of money laundering and racketeering. What do you have to say about that, as it's not a diversion? It's just a question on my part. And then on the issue pertaining to the president, why use ANC terminology of step aside instead of step down? Are you indirectly also protecting him by not simply calling him to step down and to resign as the head of state? Thank you.
Number 2.
Bali Tetani from Newsroom Africa. Mr. Malema, are you able to share with us where you obtained that video, and coming to you basically denouncing the authorities and law enforcement, why are you not confident that they would be able to deal with Ramaphosa? And coming to the type of president that we have, how concerned are you as the EFF with how, looking at the trajectory of how he has handled this whole matter? And lastly, the ANC says that he will be presenting himself before the Integrity Commission. Do you think that the ANC will be able to hold him accountable? Because we know that with the history of the Integrity Commission, most are able to get away with the matters that have been reported to them. Thanks.
Number 3.
Mr. Malema, Katleo Sohoto from Kaya FM. You did touch on this, but I just wanted to, on the church leaders in particular, being quiet about the matter. Why is it, I guess, from your perspective, the silence of the church leaders particularly worrying? Is it because of their reach to the masses? So when they condemn or condone something, people are likely to hear it? Is this why you're pressing that they should be more vocal? And I guess my colleague Mbali also asked my question around the Integrity Commission. Do you have faith in that at all?
Last one, number 4.
Sure. Mr. Malema, it's Mwanda again from the Sunday Times. We'll speak about your shots at us private, but it's fine. In any event, I think Bali also touched on this question about the source, your source of this particular information. But to take that question even further, you go on to say there is more that you say you know about, and but you are not revealing. Have you opened a case about the more? And if you are not going to make any action about the more that you know that some of us are not privy to, are you not exactly what you are accusing the president of, to know of a crime and not reported PRECA issues? Are you not in contravention of PRECA in that regard? And then secondly, to emphasize the point that Paseko was making about the step aside, what exactly, maybe you must explain to us, what do you mean you must step aside? And also, if the investigations go on, can be either whether it's found guilty or is not found guilty, what must happen going forward? Well, let's say if the negative is true, if he's found to have contravened some law in our constitution, what must happen to him? Do you believe that Titi Mabuza is the right man to rise up to that position? Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Thank you very much. I don't want to dwell much on the Guptas because Samkelo, you need to ask the question, why is Duduzane not arrested? Why are there no charges against Duduzane, who facilitated the Gupta corruption? Because this guy, the former deputy minister, Mkebisi says he was called by Duduzane to go and see the Guptas. I was called by Duduzane, by the way, myself. Yeah, facilitating a meeting with the Guptas. And I said, no, if you want a meeting, you're going to call Voiswa and convene a formal meeting. You can't call me on my phone after I spoke in Rustenburg and denounced them. He called me. So that was his job. This is the guy who has been facilitating for the Guptas to get in, but he's not charged. If anything, Duduzane enters South Africa, leaves South Africa to Dubai, like there's nothing. So when you arrest the Guptas, then you have to say to them, this is what you are doing, and the enabler of you doing this is this. But that guy is not captured. And Duduzane, rightfully so, has challenged everyone who wants to speak nonsense about him that I'm here. I've not run to Dubai. Why do you say I'm the one who has been doing all this wrong thing, but I'm not arrested? So the Gupta story, the international police can release a statement, but it's an interesting story that I will want to see the Guptas in jail, and I will want to hear that they are being brought to South Africa to be prosecuted here. We were central in exposing the shenanigans of the Guptas. I forgive you if for the first time you heard the word step aside from the ANC. But I take it you did English at school, and this word was used more often before it became fashionable with the ANC. And therefore, it is not an exclusive word that should be used by the ANC. It's a concept that we too can use. All we're saying is that the president must take a leave of absence to allow the investigation to take place. Guys, come on. A career policeman investigating a sitting president and doing that without fear? It's not possible. A career prosecutor prosecute the sitting president without being scared. Zuma said there, as a president, with all these things that they are charging him with, being there, they couldn't. They had to wait for him to leave office for them to charge him. Cyril said he's got nothing to hide. Cyril says he's transparent, he will protect the constitution. Let him take leave of absence so that we use a correct terminology for Samkelo to be comfortable, that we are not borrowing from the ANC. But it means the same thing. Step aside, allow police do their job without being scared. So when you step aside, you even give the investigating officers some confidence that no, at least he is on leave. He won't intimidate us. I think it's a right thing to do. Now that the president has not denied the money, now that the president has not denied that people have been tortured at his place, now that the president has not denied that there were foreign currencies, clearly he must allow police to do their investigating, prosecutors do the investigation without fear or favor. He must allow SARS and a reserve bank to do their work without favor. No one at SARS, no one, with so much prospects that the guy may come back, you brave that type of an attitude to go and investigate that person. There's no way. So we're simply just saying, please, let's be honest. There won't be a free and fair investigation if the man is in office. If he's cleared, he will come back to office. If he's not cleared, he will wear overalls in Makhoba's language. We want to hear Makhoba saying he must wear overalls. You know, the media is very interesting because when it favors you, you don't reveal your sources. But I must reveal my source. I can't reveal my source. I'm telling you, I've seen this video, and you can't accuse me of concealing crime. Because remember, we're dealing with intelligence here. We're dealing with intelligence and counterintelligence. We're dealing with information peddlers and all manner of things. Any information that comes to me, I have to verify it before I can share it with the nation. That which I've shared with you, no one can deny. No one can deny. So, the video was placed before me, and I refused to take it because I said, for as long as the source of the video cannot come and corroborate the facts, then I'm not getting involved. The source is still committing to come and confirm to me that this was sourced from him and these are the stories. And you know what is interesting in all these videos and investigations and is white people. Yeah? All of this is being supplied by white people. So, and that's why it even makes my job even more difficult, because I have to verify and verify. So I'm saying to you, and Fraser doesn't play. Fraser is not a populist. He's a career spy. Fraser seeks no limelight. Fraser doesn't easily conduct interviews. But once he says, we can go, you must know his story is verified and confirmed. He's the most credible and reliable figure than that one who wrote the article than that Fraser doesn't have qualifications. There's a guy, a white guy, who was caught drunk in Jogpo. Fraser is more credible than Jogpo. So you have no business whatsoever to question Fraser. Well, we may not have full confidence in the law enforcement, but we have no option because those institutions are created out of our constitution. And therefore, we have to make sure that they do their work. They are entrusted with that responsibility by the constitution. If you were to say to me, do you have confidence in the police? The first answer is no. But there's nothing I can do when a crime is committed against me. Whether I trust them or I don't trust them, I must go and open a case. Look at Godrich's daughter's case. We are the ones who are giving police information. The police are just messing it up. The police say we are looking for a BMW which carried the daughter from where she was abducted and then to where she was dumped. This is a car of interest. There is a guy in Nelspruit where the daughter was dumped. What is that area called? Not Kwamagugu. Sabi. There's a guy with cameras there at Sabi. Every intersection, everything. The police work with that guy, they know him. They give him all the cars of interest. They don't give him this BM. When they talk to us, they say, there is this BM of interest. They don't give him. 2, they don't give him a Kumbi of Lukele as a car of interest. Lukele's car, Kumbi, there was a blood in it, but it is not given to the cameraman as a car of interest. This BM, so-called BM, Lukele moved his Kumbi and parked it at the garage, some garage in Nelspruit, right? This BM always go and check if the Kumbi is still fine. Goes park there for a few minutes and leave. This is the Kumbi where they found the blood. Now, we take the number plate and the Kumbi to that guy in Sabi and say, man, there is this car of interest. Can you please check it for us? It didn't take 15 minutes. The guy comes back, says, this car comes from Sabi. I can see it getting out of Sabi between 12 midnight and 1 a.m. the same day the child was found. This car gives us a video of the car coming out of Sabi. Police never asked. The car that they found the blood in, they never gave to that camera guy to check it on cameras because it's a car of interest. Sloppy and useless as they are, what do? There's nothing we can do. We have to tell them, here's the story, here's the lead. Why didn't you tell them this car is a car of interest, this and that? Because we still have apartheid police who believe in scope and honor. It's not a lie that those comrades, those fools were beaten in Godric's child's case. It's not a lie. They were beaten. Scope and honor by apartheid police. They don't have sophisticated, latest means to find information without beating up anyone. Now they want to mess up a good case. Because even the person who confessed now says I was beaten. But he has not confessed only to the police, he confessed to the Sangom and said, I can't sleep, you must cleanse me. The Sangoma is there to confirm that. You don't need anything, Samkel. You just need to check, was Hillary's phone ever close to this phone of all the suspects? Once the answer is yes, then they are persons of interest. If Floyd is a suspect, the way they wanted to put him in even when he was not there, you just check Floyd's phone. Has Floyd's phone or Floyd's protectors been anywhere close to the phones of all persons of interest? If the answer is no, then you're wasting time. It's useless. So, police may be incompetent, but we are required by law to report to them. Hope they will do something. The same thing with SARS. It works in a political manner. It has got individuals who are targeted, and if you are not targeted, you are a blue-eyed boy like Ramaphosa, they will never investigate you. But we must still report to SARS that we think Ramaphosa has violated the Tax Act. We must still report to Reserve Bank that we still believe Ramaphosa violated the thing. Integrity Commission only works if it rules against those they don't want. If the dominant faction doesn't want you and Integrity Commission rules against you, then they will deal with you. But if they like you and the Integrity Commission rules against you, they don't release the report of the Integrity Commission. They suppress it. So it's a useless exercise. So we shouldn't even be shocked if the Integrity Commission clears him. No, the church leaders have got no more say than anything. We are in a democracy where all voices matter. We didn't only mention the church leaders, we also mentioned the NGOs that speak selectively, only speak when it's a person they don't like. So when such opportunity presents itself, we must expose it. Because if we don't, then we allow them to be hypocrites unchallenged. So we need to take them on, because we cannot allow a situation where the church treats us differently. If the church starts treating people differently, especially an archbishop treats people differently, then the church has lost its meaning in society. And therefore, it must be treated the same way we treat a factionalist. So it shouldn't be that when it's Ramaphosa, we are quiet. When it's Malema, we speak a lot. If this man was found in Malema's house, what was going to happen? Even if Malema was not there, he was in Mozambique. He must know. He ought to have known. He ought to have reasonably know that there was money there. But because it's Ramaphosa, you treat it differently. We're not going to allow that. Fellow South Africans, we gave Ramaphosa a chance to prove himself. He has dismally failed. We will treat him the same way we have treated Zuma. He must leave the office with immediate effect because he has not respected his oath of office. Everywhere and anywhere where we find Ramaphosa or we see Ramaphosa and we have an opportunity to stop him from speaking in the name of South Africa, we will do so. We call upon all the fighters and the ground forces to start treating Ramaphosa as such. We'll start on Thursday and it will be wire until he let go of that office. That office must be occupied by a man of integrity, not a hypocrite, not a man with double personalities. In front of cameras, he's something else, and behind cameras, he's buying silence of girls not to speak. We will not allow that. We will not allow the president who lives a double life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President, and the press conference is concluded.